to you. You. Good morning to you. Good good morning. Won't you share with a friend or two? Good morning to you. You. Good morning, good morning to you. You. Good good morning to you. And many more, and many more, and many more. All right. Good morning, and welcome to Daring Dialogues. I'm your host today, Shantae Charles, and I want to thank you for your time and for your attention. Got an announcement. I am looking forward to releasing some music later this year. My goal initially was to release it around March or April of this year, but uh, time happened, life happened, things happened. All of the project is completed. It is recorded. I have done music videos. I've released some music video previews, but now I believe it is time to finally release the music out into the world. So I am looking at a later release date this year. I am projecting for November, so I will keep you guys aware of that as I do the final touches on things to be able to release the full project in November. It is a smaller project. It is 3 songs, and I'm going to be calling it the Heartbeats and Hot Coals Encore. If you're familiar with my music, you know that I already have 2 projects out that I would love for you all to go listen to and stream. The first project was entitled Heartbeats and Hot Coals. The second project is entitled Do Love Walk. And you can find those wherever music is streaming, including right here on YouTube. But you can also find me on Spotify, on Tidal, on Pandora, on Apple. Again, wherever music streams, you can find both of those albums. And I would greatly appreciate it if you took a listen. So, that being said, the next project will be entitled Heartbeats and Hot Coals Encore, because it is along the vein of worship and praise music. So, if you have been wondering what's going on with that particular project, or you've been asking, hey, are you going to be doing any more music anytime soon? The music is complete. Now comes the release part. And so, as I begin to roll that out, I would greatly appreciate your support of sharing those music updates. All right, we are back in our Get Free Friday. Get Free Friday is all about finance and health, and we are continuing to read from Moving Beyond Broke, The Power of Perseverance in Personal Finance. I'm going to read a section from here today. And Live Nourished. Make peace with food, banish body shame, and reclaim joy. And I have been enjoying both of these reads. I think both of these women are coming from places where they've had to go through and learn the processes themselves. It's not just theory for them, but it is practical knowledge base. And I can appreciate that because I feel like we need so much more of that in our lives rather than people screaming at us or yelling at us or telling us you just don't know how to do it, just do it this way and it's going to work. I really like their realistic practical approach to both of these subject matters, um, because so many times when I am looking for a book or I am reading through a book, sometimes I think to myself, some of what this person is saying is just not practical. And I like the fact that both of these women in their writings are giving us some very practical, livable, doable things in terms of moving our finances forward and also moving our health forward. So we are still on her chapter entitled Earning My First Dollar Budgeting. She's going to talk to us today, Dasha, about maximizing your income and what it looks like to have a zero based budget. What does that mean to have a zero based budget? Maximizing your income. Maximizing your income is important to establishing financial stability. Yet, with a limited amount of money, time, and resources, it can be difficult to know where to start. Setting a budget gives you a clear idea of your financial situation so you can set realistic goals to get you where you want to be. You can consider further training in your field through certifications or career change or start smaller. Look for ways to maximize your income by advocating for your financial interests, such as negotiating a lower interest rate with your credit card company or applying for financial assistance programs that your service providers may offer. You can also maximize earnings through your employer. Going back to my first corporate job at 19, I had no clue how to go about negotiating a better salary and taking advantage of my company's retirement options, including matching my 401k contributions. Your job may also offer perks such as career advancement or continuing education, childcare, gym memberships, or benefits through partner organizations. Now that we've discussed the theory of how to negotiate, calculate, track, and maximize your income, it's time to build your first budget to look at your expenses and spending habits. Aside from, well, having an income in the first place, this is the foundation of money management and wealth building because it teaches you how to make every dollar work towards your financial goals. Zero based budgeting for the win. I recommend what's commonly known as zero based budgeting. With this approach, you assign a job to every dollar in your bank account so that your income equals your expenses. Now, I put expenses in quotations because with zero based budgeting, investments, savings, and debt payments are treated like monthly expenses. They'll have a line item in your budget, just like your vehicle payment or or your electric bill, and you'll assign money to them just like you would any other expense. Only after you've assigned money to meet your savings, investing, and debt payoff goals will you assign money to less essential expenses. Always pay yourself first. If you don't do this, your money will run away before you ever know what happened to it, and you'll constantly wonder why you can't seem to get ahead financially. Here's how it works. Align your budget with your big picture goals. Your foundation must always be ensuring that your budget reflects your personal values and financial goals, which can shift seasonally throughout the year, depending on your specific phase of life. Your budget is not a punishment for overspending, but a way to create the life you want. For example, if you're aiming to save a down payment on a house, you might prioritize savings over less essential spending at this season in your life. This is where you could use your custom debt and savings budget rather than your regular one. Number two, start each month at zero. Begin each month with a budget where your income minus your expenses equals zero. Every dollar you earn that month must be assigned a specific purpose, whether it's for expenses, savings, investment, or debt repayment. Your budget should equal zero after subtracting your expenses from your income. Number three, justify every expense. For each new budget period, usually a month, evaluate your expense category. Just because you spent money on something last month doesn't mean you should include it in the next month's budget. Ask yourself if each expense is necessary and contributes to your financial goals. Number four, prioritize your spending. Rank your expenses in order of importance. Essentials like your rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, transportation, and debt payments should top the list, while discretionary expenses like dining out or entertainment, luxury items should be lower on the list. This part is where your four different types of budgets come into play. If cash is low in a particular month, your discretionary expenses need to be minimal so that you can cover your essential expenses. And number five, adapt to changes. Zero based budgeting provides flexibility to adjust your budget as your financial situation changes. Sometimes you won't need to alternate between your four different budgets, but could make a smaller calibration. For example, if you get a raise, decide how to allocate the extra income. If expenses rise, determine where to cut back. Number six, detailed tracking. Keep a detailed record of your expense on paper, in your spreadsheet, or using your bank's online categories. This will help you identify areas where you might be overspending and need to cut back. Number seven, regular reviews. At the end of each month, review your budget. Did you stick to it? If not, understand why and adjust the next month's budget accordingly. Do this for 3 to 6 months to gain a deeper understanding of where each dollar is going. Zero based budgeting requires discipline and ongoing attention, but also encourages a proactive approach to managing money, ensuring that your financial resources are used efficiently and in alignment with your personal goals and priorities. Zero based budgeting has transformed my finances because I learned it's about much more than cutting expense. I love the idea of assigning every dollar a job, making it work towards something that truly matters to me, rather than wondering where all my money went at the end of each month. I now make my money work as hard as I do. Budgeting is not a punishment for overspending, it's a gift you give yourself to ensure your money works as hard as you do. All right. And next Friday, hopefully, we will be jumping into chapter 2, which is entitled Money Looks Better in the Bank or Savings. All right. Moving right along here. We are in the book Live Nourished. And we're reading from the chapter entitled We Cannot Be Carbon Copies of Each Other. This is a very important section that we're going to be reading today, and it is called The Racist Roots of BMI. The Racist Roots of BMI. And this will be our last reading for today. Let's cut to the chase. BMI, or body mass index, is one of the most problematic diagnostic tools there is. But yet doctors still use it. That doesn't stop it from being widely used. BMI is a common metric for defining anthropometric height and weight characteristics in adults and for classifying or categorizing them into groups of either underweight, normal weight, overweight, and sublevels of obese. Many members of the healthcare industry believe that BMI is a good measure of an individual's fatness and risk factors for many chronic diseases and illnesses, but the metric is incredibly flawed. BMI was actually created by a Belgian mathematician and astronomer named Lambert Adolphe Jacques Quetelet, in the 1800s. Yes, the 1800s. Quetelet's goal was to find and formulate the average man. He believed that the average value of body distribution should be an important concern in the study of human attributes. Quetelet wrote in 1842, if the average man were completely determined, we might, as I've already observed, consider him as the type of perfection. and everything differing from his proportions or condition would constitute deformity and disease. Everything found dissimilar, not only as regarded proportion and form, but as exceeding the observed limits, would constitute a monstrosity. Hard pass. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the metric by which people are being measured as to whether or not they are healthy or unhealthy by a man who found anything outside of what he deemed to be perfect as a monstrosity. So we already have a problem as it is. It's not lost on me how setting out to discern the average man was a way to weed out the others: women, people of color, disabled, and poor. Simply put, it's eugenics. And if eugenics isn't enough to dismiss BMI entirely, we should also acknowledge that BMI was intended to measure the health and weight of a population, not an individual. We are still using measurements that were based only on white men from the 1800s. And we know that this measurement is antiquated. The CDC website has a page on BMI, but has the following statement. BMI can be used to screen for weight categories that may lead to health problems, but it is not a diagnostic of the body fatness or health of an individual. So why, on our health reports, are we still seeing BMI index? Why are doctors still prescribing things for your health based on the BMI? Ask yourself that question the next time you go to a doctor. BMI disregards factors such as your age, your sex, your race, and your bone density. And it can't differentiate between muscle and fat or actual lifestyle factors. It overestimates obesity in African Americans, and it underestimates health risks in Asians. Interestingly, however, the health risks associated with obesity are also influenced by race, with Black individuals at lower health risk and Asians at higher risk compared with whites at the same BMI. It's a flawed system, and it is one that is used to discriminate. So the next time you have an appointment with your doctor and they're referring to your BMI, point this out to your doctor and ask them, what other measures are you using to determine my health besides the BMI, which is eugenics? Sometimes we have to start where we are and start questioning the practices that are used to determine our health. It's, yeah. Some insurance companies might try to refuse coverage or make rates higher for larger weight individuals. So now that's affecting your pocket. In 1998, the U.S. National Institutes of Health brought U.S. definitions in line with World Health Organization guidelines, lowering the normal overweight cutoff of a BMI of 27.8 in men and 27.3 in women to a BMI of 25 for both. As soon as these guidelines changed, CNN wrote in an article titled, "Who's Fat? New Definition Adopted." Some health experts reject the new guidelines, claiming people who aren't fat are now considered overweight. For example, under the new definitions, many professional athletes would be considered too heavy. Critics also worry that these lower weights will persuade doctors to start prescribing diet drugs for people who don't need them. Now we're getting into big money in pharmaceuticals because they get, paid to prescribe you certain things. Some diet drugs carry health risks, such as an increase in blood pressure. It doesn't stop there. For many eating disorder centers, insurers will use the BMI to make coverage decisions and can limit treatment to those who actually qualify as underweight, dismissing a large number of other people who need treatment. So now you have insurance companies using a flawed measure to either deny or give access to needed medical treatment. We are driven by numbers, which is what I call Jim Code. We're past Jim Crow at this point. Jim Crow has been in effect. We're now at Jim Code. We're driven by numbers, which prevent many from getting the help they need. For example, atypical anorexia describes individuals who meet all of the criteria for anorexia nervosa except significant weight loss. The individual's weight is within or above the normal range. Here are some facts regarding atypical anorexia nervosa. Number one, hospitalizations make up nearly 1/3 of hospital inpatient eating disorder treatment programs. Number two, at least 40% of those struggling with atypical anorexia nervosa require admission to a hospital. And number three, psychological distress related to eating and body image is worse in atypical anorexia than anorexia nervosa. It sounds radical, but there are ways to look at health without looking at weight or at BMI. Health is different for everyone and looks different for everyone. It is not a moral virtue. Due to genetics and the social determinants of health, there are many individuals who will never live up to society's version of health. This doesn't mean or make someone less deserving of respect or treatment. Using an outdated formula as an excuse to discriminate against individuals is actually helping. Certain demographics also have a higher percentage of larger bodies than others. Being discriminated against because of size, other marginalized identity layers of trauma are already experiencing, which in turn can contribute to chronic disease. Without a doubt, weight stigma has a detrimental effect on health. In healthcare settings, it can look like symptoms not being taken seriously because of a person's weight. And I've had difficult it has been for them the help that they actually need. And the fact that told, well, it's just your weight. It's just your weight. You just need to lose weight. And when in many of those cases, when they got a second opinion, it was more than, oh, it's just your weight. But a lot of times they had to get a second opinion because the doctor would brush off the things that they were telling them that was wrong. And of course, this also ties into people not being able to receive the help that they need in time, right? This ties into time frames on things as far as appointments. This ties into when you don't get the help you need in time and the consequences that can happen in your body as a result of that. So I wanted to share these two today. We're going to hopefully pick up on these on next week. I do have an appointment, so we aren't going to do our second half, our dialogue today, but I want you to think about these topics. Think about the ways in which people have weaponized BMI. Think about the ways in which you might be using BMI to determine certain factors about your body, but now, hopefully, you now know that it is a part of pseudoscience, that it was not, in fact, based in a way to actually help everyone. And so you might be using this metric or this measure to do your whole health plan. And you might need to look at that again and think about that. Um, Definitely, if you have a health plan, you have a health insurance, and you are afforded the opportunity to have a nutritionist as a part of your health insurance plan, make sure you are talking to a nutritionist who understands that BMI is pseudoscience. Um, and in that plan, that they are working on other ways to determine your health outside of the use of BMI. All right. I hope that you have a great and wonderful weekend. This is my husband's birthday weekend. So we are going to be um, doing some plans around that, celebration around that. So if you've normally been with us on during Sunday dialogue, we will not have Sunday dialogue this Sunday. We will resume. Light is the most daring opposition to darkness. So continue to go out and be the light. Other people are waiting on you to be who you are supposed to be, not who other people want you to be, but who you're called